Today, we're going to take our beautiful sky painting that we made with our awesome clouds, and we're going to turn it into a rainbow weaving. Let's go. So I've got my painting here from last time that I painted on half of a paper plate or a piece of cardboard, and I am going to turn this into what is called a loom. A loom is something that holds a weaving together. When we're finished with our weaving is going to stay on our loom as a finished work of art. And it's going to look a lot like a rainbow, hence why we painted a sky and some clouds. So the first thing we have to do is we're going to set up our warp strands. Warp strands are the strands that don't move, and usually they stand vertically on a loom. Since we're doing a half circle weaving, our warp strands are going to be radiating out from the center of our loom. So let's go ahead and flip our loom over, and we're going to plan out where these warp strands are going to go. To make sure our weaving will weave the way we'd like to, we need to make sure we have an odd number of warp strands. That means we're going to start with one in the center. So let's go ahead and make a dashed line at the very top where our first warp strand is definitely going to be. Then I can find one side and meet halfway to make another mark there and repeat on the other side. Now I have 3 notches for 3 warp strands. Go ahead and pause here if you need to. The next thing I'm going to do is go in between each section and make one more as evenly as I can in between. So I've got 4 now on this side. I'm going to meet in the middle here and one more. Let's go ahead and count these and make sure we have an odd number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is great. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors and we're going to open them up and push the plate all the way down to the bottom of our scissors and squeeze to make a little bitty cut on each of those lines. You don't want to cut very far at all. Just squeeze a little bit to make a little notch in those spaces. There's actually one more notch that we forgot to add here. We're going to flip it back over and we're going to add one at the bottom in the center. That is the point where all of our warp strands are going to be radiating from. Let's grab our scissors and cut that one. And now it's time to grab the color we would like our warp strands to be. Once you decide what color you would like for your warp strands, you're going to make sure you find the end and make sure that it's long enough that it's going to wrap around several times on our loom. This is what the back might look like when you're finished. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to put a little piece of tape on the back just to secure it. If you have masking tape, just peel off a little bit and rip it between your fingers. Stick it down. Now we're going to take our string and we're going to put it into that first notch. Just like that, pull it through gently, not to rip it. Then we're going to flip it over to the front and find the center notch at the bottom. Every one of our warp strands is going to come back to this one spot. Just like that. Now we're going to flip it over and find the next notch. So I'm going to go through this one. Once I have it through, I'm going to flip it over and go back to the, not there, not over here, back to the bottom center. Push it through that bottom center notch, and now we have 2 warp strands. Let's flip it over, and you guessed it, we're going to go to the next one. Let's go ahead and make sure we're doing it in the same order just to keep things consistent. So I'm going to come up to this one here. No, not there. Not up here. Down to the bottom we go. As you can see, my 3 warp strands are radiating from the same point. That is exactly what I want to see. Let's do the 4th one. I've got a knot in my string, so I'm going to go ahead and untie that, or I could cut it off and just tie a new piece on. Looks like I'm going to have to tie those pieces back together. No worries. I'm just going to cross it, pull it under, cross it again, and take the bottom one and push it through the hole. Let's look at that a little bit more closely. Cross it and find the one underneath to push through the hole. That is called a square knot. Ask an adult if you need help with that. Now I can cut off my extra just because I know it's nice and tight and it's not going to come off. And I'm going to keep going like nothing happened. Through the center, I've got 4, over to the next one, through the center, over to the next one, through the center, and last but not least, I've got one more to go through, and then through the center again. Once you've gone through all of your notches, you're going to cut your string so that you have a little bit of extra. Then you're going to take one more piece of tape and you're going to tape it down again to secure it. You have just created your own loom. Congratulations! We are ready to weave. Once you are ready to weave, you're going to pick your first color for the bottom of your rainbow first. Now, you don't have to go in rainbow order here. You could do your own rainbow with your own colors. It's totally up to you. This is just an artwork inspired by a rainbow. And that is going to be our first weft strand. I think I'm going to go ahead and use some pink yarn for the bottom of my rainbow. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put it through the first warp strand, and I am going to make a knot. Now this part can get a little tricky, so let's zoom on in. So I'm going to take my end and I'm going to cross it with the rest of my yarn so I have an X. Then I'm going to find the yarn that is underneath. So my little guy is underneath. I'm going to push it through underneath and pull it just like you're about to tie your shoes. Then I'm going to take it and cross it again. This time my little strand is above the other one, so I need to push that one down through the hole and pull it. I know that's kind of hard to see on the camera there, so again, don't be afraid to ask an adult if you need help. This is called a square knot, and it's going to secure your weft strand to your loom so it doesn't fall off. Now what we're going to do is go under, over, just like a dolphin, jumping over the water and then into the water. We're going to go all the way across, starting with the first warp strand that we tied our end to. Oh, let's go ahead and grab a needle to make this a little easier for us. I've got large needles that are blunt. That means they are not sharp. And I could try to push the end through the eye of the needle, but that gets really tricky. The ends get very frayed. So instead, I'm going to fold it in half so I have a little loop. Here's my loop here. I'm going to pinch it to make the tiniest loop I possibly can in between my fingers. Then I'm going to take the eye of the needle. I'm going to wiggle the eye of the needle on top of that loop until it gets pushed through. Then I can pull it through the other side. This might be another thing you need to ask an adult for help with, which is no problem. But if you rewind the video and watch again, I bet you can get it yourself. If you're having a hard time, there is another option called a needle threader. A needle threader is a piece of paper that is cut into a teeny tiny rectangular shape, just like this. Then it is folded in half like a really long and skinny foot-long hot dog bun. Once you have your needle threader, you're going to take the end of your yarn and you're going to stick it inside the hot dog bun. Then you're going to put that hot dog bun through the eye of the needle. That is going to ease your thread through so that it is easier to pull out. Okay, since that was a lot of work, let's go ahead and tie the end of our yarn to our needle so it does not fall off and we don't have to keep doing that. Once you're ready, let's go ahead and weave. We're going to go over, under with our needle all the way across in a pattern. This is called an A-B pattern. Over, under, over, under. Then we're going to go ahead and pull the string so that it goes all the way through. And now what we're going to do is we're going to mow the grass and go back the other direction we came. This time we are going to do the opposite. So we're going to go under, over, all the way across. And you can see that I did the opposite because it locks into place and almost makes like a checkerboard type of pattern. We've just done 2 lines of weaving. Now be careful to make sure that you aren't doing the same thing twice. Let's see what happens if I go back and accidentally go under, over just like before. I'm going to pull it through and oh, it just undid itself. So that is not good. We do not want to do that. So make sure you're checking to see what you did last time. If you went over it, you got to go under it. If you went under it, you got to go over it. So I'm going to fix that line there. Okay, so we're back to where we were. We're going to go over, under because we went under, over last time. And this time when I pull it through, you'll see that it locks into place and I can actually push those down tight at the bottom there. Make sure you're not pulling it super crazy tight because your rainbow will get really, really tiny and bunched up. So you want to have it in there so that you don't have extra hanging out the side, but you don't want to pull it too tight. Now I'm going to zoom out and go ahead and keep going. I'm going back and forth just like I'm mowing the lawn, and I'm doing the opposite each time. Under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. Over, under, over, under. Over, under, over, under. Back and forth, back and forth. The more you do this, the larger your section of color is going to be on your rainbow. Now you might notice that you make mistakes as you go. It looks like I skipped one of my warp strands here, so all I have to do is go backwards to where I messed up and then try it again. It's okay if you make a mistake, you can always back it up and fix it. And sometimes if you just have a little mistake, no one will even notice. I'm going to go ahead and keep going with my pink for a little bit here until I'm ready to switch to a new color. Once you're ready for a new color, you're going to take your yarn off of your needle, untie it if you need to, pull it off. Make sure you push down your left strand so it's nice and tight at the bottom of your loom. Then you're going to go ahead and pick your next color. I think I'm going to use some orange next. Find the end of your new color and cut out a piece that's probably about the length of your arm. Next, you're going to find one end and you're going to tie it to the rest of your pink that you have here. So I'm going to tie it by making a square knot. Cross them, push the bottom one under, cross them again, and then put the bottom one under or through that hole to pull it and make a box knot. Again, ask an adult if you need help with this step. Once you have it really tight, just like before, you can cut off your extra just so it's not showing. If you like it showing, that's fine too. I'm just going to snip that off there. And you're ready to take the other side of your orange yarn, and put it through that needle again. So if you want to use your needle threader, please do. That makes it a lot easier. Or you can fold it over, make a little nub, a little folded over nub, and wiggle the eye through that way. I'm going to go ahead and just fold over a little nub and wiggle it through the eye until I can pull it through. All right, now I'm ready to keep weaving just like before, and you'll see that my pink transitions into the orange as I go. Over, under, over, under. I can always check to see where I was by looking to see which side I came out of last. Whichever side you came out of last is going to be the side that you start on this time. That makes sure that you're always going back and forth just like a lawnmower. You can also check and see if you went under it or over it last time. If you went under it last time, you gotta go over it. If you went over it, you gotta go under it. You got it. As you keep going, you're going to get better and better at this, and it'll start going faster and faster for you as you get the hang of it. But be kind to yourself. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get the hang of it. You are okay if you need a little bit of extra help. There is no worries. You can always watch this video again or ask an adult. I'm going to go ahead and stop there for today, and I will meet you in the next video to show you how you're going to finish your weaving. I hope you had fun. I'll see you next time. Love, your cozy art teacher.